Hi, I'm Dave Hilgendorf, and welcome back. This is video number 3 in a series based on the book, Jesus is at Work, Having Joy and Purpose at Your Current Job. Last time we talked about a man named Sam who seemed to have his life and work all together on the outside, but was quietly desperate for a sense of meaning in his work on the inside. In chapter 3 of the book, we read a story about another man named Kevin. Now there are some similarities between Sam and Kevin. They both have a family they love and a job they enjoy, or at least a job they used to enjoy. But there are two big differences between Sam and Kevin. One is that Sam is not a Christian, whereas Kevin is a Christian. The other is that while Sam is unhappy with his work and hasn't done anything about it really, Kevin has done something about it. What Kevin has done is to compensate for his lack of purpose at work by getting heavily involved in volunteer activities at his church. In fact, he's gotten so involved that it has had a very negative impact on his peace and his family since he's stretched so thin. The worst part is he doesn't feel any more fulfilled than before, just a lot busier. Now Kevin makes a big mistake made by, I believe, a lot of other Christians. He compares himself and his job to others who have what we would call quote-unquote full-time ministry, like pastors and worship leaders. And he concludes that he's a second-class Christian. In reaching that conclusion, he's blinded to what God has in store for him at his work, and instead he feels defeated and lost. Now, while God wants us to serve in our church, if we start volunteering as Kevin did in a vain attempt to make up for a lack of purpose at our work, I think that we're doomed to fail, and we will have jumped out of the frying pan and into the fire, as the saying goes. But you know, you don't have to actively do something unhealthy and unproductive like Kevin did to end up with a sense of apathy and unhappiness with your work. In fact, you don't have to do anything. And let me explain what I mean by that with a question. Have you ever gone tubing on a river? I'm not talking about a fast-moving river that's part of whitewater rafting. I'm talking about a river that moves so slow that you can barely tell it's moving by looking at it. Maybe you went tubing on a real river. One of my fondest memories of childhood was when I went to summer camp and we got in a dirty, muddy river in our clothes and shoes and went floating down the river in inner tubes. Or maybe you went on one of those man-made lazy rivers that you find at water parks or in resort areas like Myrtle Beach. My family and I have been to those. Once you get in the river and sit on your tube, how much effort does it take on your part from that point forward? Practically no effort, right? The river does the work for you. And where do you end up going? Pretty much where the river takes you, right? I'd like you to try to think of your working career kind of like floating on an inner tube on a slow-moving river. You get up, you go to work every day, and when you get to work, it's kind of like sitting in an inner tube. Now, I'm not saying that you're being lazy at your job, but rather I'm saying that maybe you're just simply thinking about your job the way most everyone else thinks about their job. You see, anyone can work every day and make money. But to actually have joy and a sense of purpose in your work, I believe, takes a conscious effort on your part and a correct understanding of what God's heart is on this issue. It takes, as we said earlier, a renewal of your mind. But if you go against the flow of the river and seek out God's will for your work, you will reap amazing benefits. In part 2, Dream with Purpose, which includes videos 4, 5, and 6, we're going to start to lay out what life can be like if you make that conscious choice. We'll see you then.